Shall we begin?
Yes, we shall. Welcome to another session of the Create Your New Life training, where we come together and we talk about the ins and the outs of the real estate industry, as well as what our company and organization is doing, what we've been up to, and just come together as a firm. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Definitely want to thank you for joining, whether you're looking at it live, whether you're looking at it later. We want to thank you for your attention and your time, hearing a little bit about what we have to offer as an organization. So we're always looking to meet new people, always looking to talk about the value that we bring and the value that you bring to see if it's a good fit. So if you're interested, give this number a call behind us. Schedule a meeting with myself or our company manager or Mr. Brooks so we can talk a little bit more about what Brooks and Davis can do for you. All right, so today's talk, we are going, also at any time, at any point, if you're looking at it, if you're on live, you can stop me and engage, ask questions. You know, these trainings are not meant for me to just be talking, although I will talk. They're just not meant for that. I have the chat open, or you can just unmute yourself. All right, so today's title, continuing the follow-up protocol. SS-2 stands for skill set 2, because that is the skill set on our Realtor Success Funnel that we are looking at from a practical standpoint. We're in our Day in the Life of a Realtor series, wanting to show as a day, when we're talking about these different concepts, what that looks like as your day with you, like during your day, your work day. So that's what we're talking about. Now, the quote is, progress is undefeated. You know, at the end of the day, one of the constants, they say nothing's constant but death and taxes is inevitable. Another one that I want to add to that is progress, right? You know, the only, what they say, the only constant about change is that it's going to change. Like, that's it. Like, the reality of everything is that it's going to change. So when you're talking about progress, you can't stay the same. I was having a conversation yesterday and we were talking about gentrification. And look, gentrification is like the ocean. You know, there are people out here that's trying to stop it. They're picketing it. They're protesting. They're marching. They're passing out flyers. They're trying to prevent gentrification. But trying to prevent gentrification is like trying to stop the ocean. You can't do it, right? And you can't go to the coast of California and say, I'm going to stop the Pacific Ocean from coming. Like, it's not happening. I'm not going to block it. That's what gentrification is like. The thing about the ocean is look, you can't stop it, but you can learn how to surf it. Meaning you can learn how to build boats. You can learn how to navigate, or you can learn how to leverage it and use it. That's the same thing with gentrification. You can't stop it. You need to take that energy and spend on figuring out how to leverage it, how to capitalize on it. And that's the same thing with progress. So at the end of the day, it's undefeated. You can't stop progress. You better get on board and be able to capitalize on the direction that progress is moving, right? So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm working to where we're not doing these things an hour and a half, and after about an hour, we're done with what we need to do. So we're just gonna keep this thing moving. Again, if you have questions though, stop me and we'll jump into it. All right, so let's see what kind of production that we're doing. Look at that. Look at that, over 7 million. Over 7 million worth of production on the board. That's what I'm talking about. So you're at about 7.3 million. Now I do have to give a disclaimer. My disclaimer is that my production board, my pending board, may be off. Well, so on Friday, I got somebody coming in and they're going to call all the agents that have contracts on this board, and they're going to get confirmation to see if these contracts are still in play. And if they're not in play, then we got to get them off the board. So fingers crossed, we'll still come back with 7 million next week. But if not, it is because we had some phantom transactions on that board that we got rid of. So, but as it stands right now, we're at $7.3 million worth of production on the board. All right, so you want to keep pushing forward, keep talking to buyers, keep talking to sellers. Let's help them make decisions and get them under contract so we can keep that moving. All right. As far as new agents or affiliates, we didn't get any new agents or affiliates this week, but what we did do is that we had 2 affiliates transition into agents, and that is awesome, right? This will be the third and fourth affiliate to agent transition that we've had as an organization. And that is very exciting to me, because when I originally came up with the idea of the affiliate program, you know, to be able to see it accomplishing what its original intent was is totally awesome to me. So definitely want to congratulate Adrian Callaghan and Leslie Wright for passing their test, you know, going through our affiliate program, working hard, staying committed, passing their tests, and now they're fully licensed. So we're going to call them, get them in here so they can do their orientation and set them up so they can be successful. I absolutely want to congratulate those 2 for going through the program and accomplishing what they needed to accomplish with the support through our affiliate program in Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. So congratulations, both of you. All right. Our top producing agents this week. So there was some movement. There was a changing of the guard. So Charles Adams is now the new #1 top producing agent for Brooks and Davis Real Estate Firm. So congratulations, Charles. And then Mashana Green comes in too. And Laquana, who had held that spot for a very long time, is now rounding out the 3 spot. So like I said, any week, you have closings, you have new production coming in. Any week, these numbers can change. And that's why I like measuring this metric. So our #4 is Aman Hussein, and then we ended it with Kim Stubblefield. So congratulations, everybody. Keep up the hard work. Work hard to maintain your position. All right, so here we go. 60-day cycle. Prepare to pop, right? Doing what you can to position yourself to capitalize on the summer month, the summer selling season. Remember, this business is cyclical. It's seasonal. So you have to capitalize on the ebbs and flow of the season. So that's why this 60-day cycle, our mantra is prepare to pop. Put your business in a position to pop when that summer buying season hits, right? So that means now you need to be high activity on those things that are going to position your business to be able to capitalize. What are those things look like? It's the things at the top of the real estate success funnel. We'll talk about it later. Those high activity items of follow-up, generate leads, of making contact, follow-up protocol. Those high activity items is what's going to put you in a position that when the season hits, you'll have a bunch of clients, you'll have a bunch of contracts and closings that you're going to have your hands full with. So let's keep pushing it, moving. Where we should be is at 1.987 million. We're highly eclipsing that. Our goal was to bring on $5.3 million worth of new production over this 60-day period. We're already at 3.7 million. So I feel really good about ensuring about us hitting our goal. So we're about 1.6 million away. So let's go. Let's get this new $1.6 million worth of production so we can reach this goal, exceed this goal, and move our ceiling up. So let's do it. I'm ecstatic about where we are right now. Okay, I want to talk about, and during our new listing showcase, I want to talk about the new listing showcase, and then I'm probably going to come back to I want to connect this and then another segment that we're going to talk about, which talks about what it takes to sell a house, right? Our new listing showcase, we're bringing it back, and the reason we're bringing it back is because we're going to offer it for lease, right? Now, this is one of our listings that's in Shadow Creek Ranch. Shadow Creek Ranch is a master plan community, so location, access to amenities, access to trails and lakes and splash pads. You know, it has something for everybody, right? It's close to grocery stores, close to shopping, dining. I mean, it's right there off of 288 and as well as Alameda. So you have two major entryways or thoroughfares that brings you into the city. So the location is phenomenal. So with this particular property, we're priced at $320. The home was built in 2017. And, you know, after doing some research, we've decided, having, you know, conversating with the client, that, you know, we need to go ahead and put it on the market for lease as well. Now, I want to speak to you why we came to that idea. So, you know, to kind of peel back the curtain a little bit on how I used to do real estate, and you know, so now I'm speaking from a place of experience and not just a place of what I've been told or what I heard. You know, there were times when I would get listings and, you know, I wasn't as hands-on, wasn't as intentional about it. I was one of those individuals and one of those companies that we did do a one-size-fits-all type of, you know, painting all listings with a broad brush, a broad stroke. And with that, there was some holes and some gaps, and I wasn't as much control of my success as you may think when approaching things that way. So using this property on Parkstone as an example, you know, one of our newest our benefits that we offer to our clients is, we call them area zone visits. You know, every 3 weeks, area zone visits and property refresh for vacant properties. And we do them every 3 weeks. And it was something that we just implemented, you know, here recently, to where we go out to the area and just get an idea of what's going on in the area, what's going on with the property, how's the curb appeal, how, you know, trying to look at it in the eyes of a buyer to better package and present it and put the property in its best situation. You know, as for 2018, I've really been on creating custom and unique experiences for every single client, whether a buyer or a seller. Their experience has to be unique to them and their situation. I'm really been driving that home, and I'm really been getting a lot of clarity on that personally and evolving into that. So for this particular property, the client wants us to be at this price point. Well, unfortunately, that price point is higher than what the market can bear. But realistically, this price point doesn't even really have to do about the market, right? The biggest challenge for our property here is that we're going up against a new home builder. That, you know, there's a new home builder that is building homes currently and has a number of available lots, as well as spec homes, which are homes where the builder builds it without having a contract on it. They build it with the intent to sell it just like a resale. So now, traditionally, when competing with the builder, the one thing that a resale home had, it had the benefit of being move-in ready. You can move in right now. Well, so meaning, even if we're price competitive, and even if, because our house is 2017, so it's, you know, almost brand new, right? Going up against 2018 built homes. Well, you know, I could have this floor plan, and if I'm a buyer, it's like, well, you know, I want this floor plan, but I don't want to wait 6, 8, 12 months for it. I can, you know, buy this now. Yeah, I could pay a little bit more and get a brand new one, but if I bought this one, I can move in right now, right? So that's the one up that you had on the new building when you're competing. Well, in this particular case, because the builder is building spec homes, you don't even really have that to compete against. So it puts us in a very precarious situation, right? And now I was able to really connect the dots on all of that when I went and actually drove and did the area visit, right? And then I could see, and during my area visit, I went to the builder, I went to the sales counselor, I went and picked up their inventory sheet. I was able to see the map of all the lots that they had and the ones that they sold. I was able to see the price reductions that they made on their inventory homes to make to where it was more competitive against what we were presenting, right? So with all of that being the case, you have to ask yourself, and I actually had this conversation with my client, with, it's a corporate client. I said, with us competing against the builder, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we have that the builder can't offer, right? And with them having the houses built, it really wasn't anything. It's like it's not really anything that we have to offer, other than like we have a program where we can do owner finance. Now that's not something that the builder can offer, so that's why we're even still having this property on the market for sale. But we're having it on the market for sale in the event that we can get somebody that's needing to do an owner finance type situation. So, but in talking to my client, I was like, look, the best move, right? Again, remember, custom, being unique. The best plan of action for your particular property because of this situation is to go ahead and lease it, right? Let's just go ahead and put you a tenant in there for a year, maybe get them to sign a 2-year deal. And then once the builder's gone, let's consider selling the house at that point. By that point, you would have got 2 more years of principal reduction, right? You have your mortgage payment being paid by somebody else, so they're building in the equity on the house, right? And in 2 years, with natural appreciation taking place, you're in a position you can go ahead and liquidate and move on to something else. So this was the best scenario for this client. And I said all that, I want to use our new listing showcase as an opportunity to tell you that when you have listings, you need to take the listing and its situation, and as you take that into consideration, determine the best plan of action for them. Again, no one size fits all, right? All right, so now, as far as this particular listing, though, since it is open for lease now, we just added it to the MLS. If you have somebody that wants to have access to those amenities, wants to be in Shadow Creek Ranch, wants a brand new home, $2,400 a month is a steal for something out in that area. So reach out to your tenants. Let's get them on the inside of these properties. Or if you have somebody that is willing to do an owner finance, let's get them out here. Take a look at this that wants to be in Shadow Creek Ranch, and we can get this one leased up as well. So let's do it. I know you guys can do it. All right, proprietary programming. Remember, every week I want you guys to take a look at all the things that we offer, and we're always looking to expand. We got another protocol or a program that we're finalizing on. And man, I'm really excited about that one because it is 100% geared towards brand new agents and putting them on track fast, putting them on the fast track. So I'm excited about that one. But in the meantime, we have all these other ones that are in play, right? Remember, we have our lead generation system. We have our pre-home buyer session, which are right now through our pre-home buyer program. We have 2 people that have bought houses. We have 2 people that have pre-approval letters that are ready to buy houses. We have 4 people that are in the second stages of it, right? So the financial homeownership first and the pre-home buyer session is another one of those programs that it feels good to see the result of the concept, right? When I, again, sat down and thought through it and then start putting it in play to start seeing it turn over and seeing people getting their pre-approvals after going through the program, seeing people getting reconnected with their realtor and getting contracts and buying houses, moving in. I mean, it's just a level of fulfillment that comes with seeing it work, right? So again, these are programs that are unique to Brooks and Davis. This is our proprietary program that we're the only ones that are doing this kind of stuff. It is unique to our And it's what it does is what makes you special, right? It helps you answer the question. Like I got a question yesterday in my pre-home buyer session. Why should we use your real estate company, right? And because I've spent so much time innovating and figuring out a way to make us different, that's an easy question for me to answer when someone asks why they should use us, whether from a buying standpoint and even from a selling standpoint. We're going to talk about that today when I get into that part about what it takes to sell a home. All righty. So let's get into, let's see. So let's get into now that talk about what it takes to sell a home. Now, let me tell you where this came from. This what we're going to talk about today came from me sitting down and having a conversation with an investor. And that investor, what he asked the question of, do we do like flat fee MLS listings? Do we do all of that, right? And the short answer was yes. Yeah, we do that. You pay us a flat fee and we put it on the MLS for you and we'll do all that. Yeah, we'll do it. So then the next question was, how much? Well, the thing is that I never really did it. So I really didn't know what kind of price to put on it. So what I told him was like, well, look, man, give me about 3 days. And I'll put together some kind of custom, because remember, I'm all on custom today. I'm at this moment, at this juncture in my evolution. So I'm telling the guy, well, look, I could create something custom for you. What do you need? So he gave me a list of the things that he needed from a real estate company, from a real estate space. And I said, well, look, give me about 3 days and I can put together a custom package for you and let you know what that cost will be. So that 3-day period, I decided to go do some research. And the idea behind the research was, well, what do I need to be charging for this stuff? And, if I'm going online and able to see this stuff, he can go online and able to get it. So, there's no point in me just pulling a number out of the sky and then he can go online and see like, hey, I'll just use this company. So I wanted to see what the cost would be to do all of these things, right? And in my research, and I like identified like 12 different local companies, and they had things that they offered, from doing CMA for you to giving you a lockbox, to sign in the yard, giving access to the showing service, giving you access to the forms, even reviewing the contract for you. Like, I mean, you'll be surprised all of the services and things that sellers can purchase a la carte that we include in our commission, that we use to justify our 6%, that they can go and they can buy it a la carte, right? So in my research, and the research has continued through, and I'm still kind of going through it, it prompted a question for me of, are we worth the 6%, right? That was the question for me. Like, are we worth the 6%? Because there was so many people and so much backlash against paying the 6%, to where I started questioning it. Are we really worth it? Like, if I had to prove it, like if I was in court and I was before the judge and I had to defend my case, would I have enough evidence to defend the value of the 6% when seeing all of this a la carte that sellers could have access to? So in that, I've come up with these things, these concepts that bring value, to where now I'm not only do I know that the 6% that we request, we're more than worth the 6%. Because of the things that were offered, it's more than just that to sell a house. And that was the conclusion that I came to. And that's how I came to, this is what it takes to sell a house. And discount brokerage, flat fee MLS type of deal, It's not giving you, if it's not giving a for sale by owner everything that they need to actually sell the house, which is what they're trying to do. All right. So these are the 6 things that are needed for a house to sell. All right. The first thing is, well, the buyer has to come across the house, right? Now, what do I mean when I say that? The house has to get in view of the buyer, whether that's on the MLS, whether that's with a sign in the yard, whether that's an open house, whether that's knocking on doors, passing out flyers, whether it's on Craigslist, whether it's on social media, whether that's on whatever. The buyer has to see the property, right? And seeing what I found is that a lot of those companies, those a la carte services and things like that, a lot of them only dealt with this one area of selling a house, right? The things that the seller could do, or the do-it-yourself seller could purchase a la carte, only put them in a position to where it puts their property in front of a prospective buyer, right? Well, there are 5 other things that need to take place for that house to sell, right? So another one of those things is once the house does come across the buyer's peer view, then the next thing is that while that buyer's seeing it, they have to get a desire to want to see the inside of the home. So that means if you have it, whether you have the sign or it's on HAR or Zillow or Trulia or Craigslist, or you're doing the open houses, whether you you doing all those things, if the way that the property is being presented on those avenues, is it in such a way to where it creates a desire inside of that buyer to want to see the house, then you're in it, like you're missing it, right? So that means you could go as discount, as affordable as possible with the first part of it, the marketing piece, the signage and all that other stuff, and you got buyers seeing it, it's in their face, but because the pictures aren't good, or because it's priced too high, so the market analysis is off, or because you don't know you don't have the right information in the description on how you're describing the property, you haven't done any videos to really showcase it, then although the buyers are seeing it on all these different avenues, they're not scheduling appointments. They don't have a desire to want to see the inside of it, right? So that's another aspect. And that aspect right there, the buyer getting a desire to see the inside of it. These flat fee, these discount brokerages, they don't offer that. Like, they don't offer that expertise. They don't offer that knowledge. They don't offer access to the right type of photography and videography and the right type of content and things like that. They don't offer that to put that seller in the best position to where once that buyer does come across the listing, they have a desire to want to see the inside of it, right? They don't offer that, right? So then now, say you do get that right. So say you got it in all the right places to where you're getting exposure, and you have it packaged the right way, whether online or do all these mechanisms to where now the buyer does schedule the appointment, right? Well, then now we have that third stage to where the buyer has to get into the home. Now, that may seem very small, but when you think about it, if you don't have a lockbox where you can put the key in there, and if you don't have some type of showing service to where it could coordinate the agents, just think about, from a management standpoint, facilitating a buyer saying, hey, I want to see the inside of it, and actually getting them into the house. So then now take that and you scale that up exponentially. It could come into a major management nightmare, right? An operational nightmare. If you have a number of people wanting to see properties at different times, different dates, different moments, because to put your property in the best position to sell, you got to be extremely flexible, because a buyer wants to see the home when they can see it. You try to put constraints around it, buyer just go look at another property and forget about yours. So it may seem tiny, but that's a big deal. It's like the rudder of a big ship. It may be small, but that ship ain't moving unless that rudder is moving. So the third part is that you got to get the buyer into the home. And then after you get them into the home and they see the inside of the home, one of these two things has to happen. And if one of these two things does not happen, then again, the house is not going to sell. The first thing is one, like I said, one of these two. The best case scenario is they get inside the house, they fall in love with the home. We're talking about an instant emotional connection. Like, boom, in love. Oh my God, this is it. This is what we've been looking for. I don't care what they're asking. Give them what they want. I want this house no matter what. That's the ideal situation, right? Well, again, those flat fee, those discount brokerage firms, they don't really offer the expertise when it comes around ensuring, positioning the property to where the buyer falls in love with it, to facilitate that emotional connection, right? That part, the buyer falling in love, it's emotional, right? And the property has to instill that immediately. That's where your staging comes in. That's why staging is effective. Staging works. Staging is worth its cost, because what it does is it puts the buyer in a situation to where they can overlook, especially in vacant houses, where they can overlook inconsistencies and they imagine themselves living, it looks like a house, right? So staging, but then you got property condition, making repairs or updates, decluttering, like putting the property in a position to where it's easy for them to fall in love with. These discount services and MLS brokerage, they didn't offer that, right? And then so now they don't fall in love, right? So for whatever reason, you can't get the condition to its best foot, put it in its best light to where buyer fall in love with it. Well, then the next one is, well, then the buyer needs to get convinced, right? So if they don't fall in love with it, they need to get convinced that they still need to put an offer on the property, right? So you do that by, you got to offer incentives, right? Price reductions, repairs, repair allowances, closing costs, title insurance, home warranty, right? You got to give them incentives. You got to bribe them to put an offer in on you and not on somebody else. So one of those two things happen. If none of that happens after the buyer sees the inside of the house, you're dead, right? The house is not going to sell. So you have to take that in consideration as you're doing this thing. All right, so now they see the inside of it. They either fall in love or they get convinced. So the fourth part, they submit the offer. Well, in submission of the offer, certain things have to happen. Number one, access to the contracts and forms. Now, that was one of the things that I said these flat fee and these discount brokerages did offer. They offer access to the contracts. They offer access to the addendums, right? The other thing when it comes to submitting an offer is that you have to make it easy. You got to make it easy for them to be able to submit it. If a buyer is not represented by an agent, he doesn't have a clue on how to properly submit the offer. So that means if it's a seller, if there's not an agent involved at all, neither party knows how to properly submit the offer.
I'm
right?
so sorry. I was calling you.
So, and then, you hear people say, well, we'll just hire an attorney. That's an hourly rate. Like, why would you do that? So the point is, you got to make the process easy, the submission process. And then what we found out, listen, buyers have questions. They have questions before they submit offers. And if you're not in a position to answer their question, they're going to move on. So all of that has to take place in that fourth stage, making the process easy, giving them access to the forms as well. And then here's where your follow-up comes in. Well, realistically, the follow-up comes in all of the areas, right? When it comes to the, after this part, yeah. So this is where the follow-up comes in, because once they see the property, once they see the inside of the home, if they haven't submitted an offer, then you need to be following up. And we call it preschool or persistent follow-up, right? I got that because my kids, my little ones, unless when they want something, if I haven't given them a yes or a no answer, then they keep asking until they get a yes or they get a no. If I give them a not right now, or ask me later, or I'm doing something, or come back, if I give them anything other than a yes or a no, they are going to continue to ask. That's how you got to be with your follow-up in this part of it. If you're going to sell a house, you got to, whether that's an agent, whether that's a buyer, you got to every day call them. What's going on? Did you show it? You got any feedback? Why did you like it? Did you not like it? You know, what could we do? These are some incentives that we can offer. Did your client love it? Why didn't they love it? What would they pay for it? You got to be doing it every day until they say they don't want it or you get an offer, right? So all of that takes place in the fourth part of it. So then now you do get the offer, right? So then even if you get an offer, that doesn't mean that it's going to get accepted. That doesn't mean that everybody's going to agree to terms. So now you got to get the buyer to agree to the terms of the purchase agreement. Because listen, just because the seller gets an offer, you may not like it. You may not like the terms. You may not like the earnest money amount. You may not like the price. You may not like the closing time frame. There's so many things that are part of the purchase agreement that you may not like. So that means now the negotiation has to take place. It has to take place. Now, this wasn't offered as much on some of them as it was on others. Some of those flat fee and MLS, they offered a level, kind of like a watered down version of negotiation, right? So they offered a little bit, but for the most part, the negotiation piece was being left up to the seller. Now, listen, negotiation is not something that you're born with. People are not born good negotiators. It is a skill set, something that you have to learn. You have to be trained on negotiation. There are no natural negotiators. Negotiation is a technique, right? You have to be schooled in it. So negotiation is a real value add to be brought to the table. And that's where it happens in this stage. It's negotiating both sides, negotiating between the seller and the buyer to get agreement on the purchase agreement. That's what you're looking to do. Get agreement on the terms of the purchase agreement. Because until you get agreement, you can't move forward. Remember, we're talking about everything that it takes to sell a home, not just portions of it, the whole process. So you got to get agreement on the terms. Now, finally, once you've made it through all 5 of those steps, you got the last one, which is you got the agreement in the terms, you have it submitted to the title company. Well, now you got to maintain the buyer's commitment to purchase the home. What does that mean, Mike? That means you got to make sure the deal don't bust out. You got to make sure that that the buyer doesn't get cold feet. You got to make sure that the buyer doesn't get bored with the whole process, doesn't get frustrated, doesn't say, you know what, forget it, I'm out. You got to make sure that they remain committed to purchasing the house. And they got to remain committed all the way to close it. And the thing about it is that as you're going through the transaction, there's so many things that can come at you, right? I mean, we talk about the 9 evil bosses of transaction management. All of them can come, right? You can have issues come with the appraisal. You can have issues come with the inspection. You can have issues come with the buyer's financing, with the title. All these things can just come out of the woodworks in the transaction. And you got to make sure that that buyer remains committed to going to the end, going all the way to the end, because the only way that this house is going to sell is by getting that buyer to continue with what they agreed to on that when they sign that contract, maintaining that momentum and that energy all the way to when they're signing that paperwork and getting those keys. So it takes more, so much more than what I just personally was able to articulate mentally in selling a house. And because of this, right? And see, personally with Brooks and Davis, in addition to these 6 things, because realistically, these 6 things are the responsibility and the role of any licensed real estate professional, right? And with just these 6 things, I think it warrants the 6% commission that we ask. It's worth it, right? Especially with us splitting that with the buyer's agent. It's worth it because all 6 of these things have to take place. And we're responsible as professionals to not only have access to the resources. I use this analogy. We're like the cook, right? The seller wants a meal. Well, we're responsible for not only having the ingredients, we're also responsible for having the recipe, and we're responsible for cooking the dish, right? They want us to have the ingredients, have the recipe, cook the dish, and give it to them. And if that's what you want, that is worth the fee that we charge, because it's one thing to have access to the ingredients, but if you don't have the recipe, then it does you no good. You're not going to get the results you want. It's one thing to have access to the ingredients and have access to the recipe, but if you don't have time to cook the meal, it ain't doing you no good. So we have to have all 3 of those. We bring all 3 of those things to our clients, especially our seller client. And because of that, we are valued the right. We are worth the 6% that we ask. Now, at Brooks and Davis, there are some things that we offer that are more than that, right? We offer, like I mentioned, that preschool or persistent follow-up every day. Every day we talk about our listings. Somebody called on one of our listings or showed our listing. Every day we follow up with them until we get a yes or a no. And it doesn't matter if we had 1 showing or if we had 40 showings. Like we've had 40 showings on one of our properties, and it hasn't even been 2 weeks. We've had 40 showings on that property. But guess what? Every day we got the list of the agents that showed and the ones that ain't left feedback. We calling them, and even if they have left feedback, if the feedback ain't clear enough, we call them so we can get more deeper, clear back and feedback until we get us an offer on that property, right? 40 showings. So it doesn't even matter. We call it our preschool or persistent follow-up. We have our 3-week property refresh, which I believe is unique to us, meaning on all our vacant properties, every 3 weeks, we go to it and we do a refresh, which means we may need to sweep it out. We may need to mop the floors. We may need to wipe the windows. We may need to sweep the steps, right? We got to make sure the sign is still up. We got to make sure it looks good, right? Because remember, we're trying to get that emotional connection with the buyer, and we know it takes, we know it's extremely difficult, especially when it comes to vacant properties. So at the least, if we're not going to entertain staging, at the least we got to make sure that the property is clean and it looks good, right? So our 3-week property refresh, the preschool persistent, our pre-marketing strategy meetings, which is where we sit down and, again, custom. We have a custom strategy for every single property, right? And then our area zone visits. And I talked about that earlier with our property that was in Shadow Creek Ranch. Because of our zone visits, where we visit schools, we visit companies, we visit churches, we visit large organizations in the area. We may pass out flyers about the property. We're going to see what's happening in that area based off of our pre-marketing strategy. And in doing that is how we determine the best move for our property in Shadow Creek Ranch on Parkstone, where we needed to lease it at this time. Well, these are things that, in addition to the other 6, this is above and beyond to where you're even getting more value than expected for the 6%. So at the end of the day, like I said, I wanted to, I'm still going through this because I'm going to launch a marketing. I'm going to educate the customer base. The customer base needs to be educated on the 6%, because I believe people would be willing to pay the 6% if they believe that it was value in the 6%. I don't think they would have a problem paying it, right? I just think that we've done a bad job as an industry justifying why we're worth the 6%. And if we do that, then we wouldn't have these problems. So I'm gonna take it upon myself to help the entire industry and educate the industry on the 6% it's the best thing for the seller. is to pay the 6%. That's the best thing for them. All right, so now let's go ahead and jump into our time for today, which is continuing our conversation on follow-up, right? Continuing our conversation on the follow-up. Now, before we get into it, I'm a briefly, when I say like in 60 seconds, literally in 60 seconds, touch our ideology. The one I want to hit is always giving our best and every day making our best better, right? That's where all of this prompted about what it takes to sell a home and all the value adds that we bring. It's about making ourselves better. It's 100% in our ideology and our DNA as a company. That is an example of what this value, this core value looks like. It's me being able to come and articulate to you all a better understanding of the home selling process. And in addition to that, adding more to it that differentiates us from somebody else, from another real estate company, to where we can answer that question the right way. So this is our core idea. This is who you are as a part of Brooks & Davis, whether you're an affiliate, a mentee, or an agent. This is who we are as a company. This is our culture. Okay, so now let's jump into our talk for today, continuing our conversation about follow-up. All right, again, it all stems from our Real to Success funnel, right? And our Real to Success funnel takes us from generating leads all the way to the closing table. How to be successful in this business, how to make money in this business. This is our concept. This is what we teach. This is what we coach around to put you in the best situation. And what we're doing now in this series is that we're taking these concepts and we're presenting them in a practical perspective, of which the one that we're looking at now is skill set number 2. So now I talked about in our 60-day mantra of prepare to pop, the type of things that you need to be doing to position yourself to pop and capitalize off of the summer session. The summer selling season. Well, just like in our diagram, the green represents activity, right? So in the area of the funnel that has more green, that represents you having more activity. These are high activity items need to take place, meaning you need to be doing a lot of this stuff. You need to do a lot of this stuff, right? As you get lower down the funnel, it's not about activity at this point. It's about skill. To get that contract to close, that 6th part of selling a house, maintaining that buyer's commitment, that takes a lot of skill. To get a client under contract, that takes more skill than activity. This takes more skill than activity, but this takes more activity and skill. It's a numbers game at this point up in this area. So in preparing to pop, you need to be doing a lot of lead generation. You need to be doing a lot of follow-up, which is what we're talking about. And you need to be going on a lot of consultations, right? And in doing that, it'll ensure that once the summertime hits, you'll have the clients that you need to get under contract to ensure that you have the closings that you're looking for. So that's why the activity, the high activity parts are here. All right. So now last week we talked about, and we looked at, let me show you. So last week we looked at constantly creating content as a part of our follow-up protocol. So remember, as us looking at it on a daily, from a daily perspective, meaning as your work day, what does follow-up, consistent follow-up, making contact with your leads and consistent follow-up look like, which is skill set number 2. Remember, we mentioned, we've already been organized. We've gotten organized. We've gotten our time block. We're spending 1 hour to 3 hours every day devoted to follow-up, devoted to generating leads. So now within that hour to 2 hours, what am I doing, right? So then last week we talked about when creating your content, you need to make sure that as you're creating content during that time frame, that the content needs to be creative. It needs to be effective, meaning giving people a reason to pay attention. We talked about that. We talked about no one size fits all, that it has to be unique and custom. And we use programs as an example of things, creative content that you can use to send to people during your follow-up protocol. Remember, all of this is inside of your holding pattern. These are the type of things that keeps people inside of the arrows going round and round and round, right? This is the type of activities and that you have to have the type of content to where people are paying attention to you every time you touch them. And then we went through Canva, which was a software that we use, a design software that's, can make eye-popping graphics, whether flyers or Instagram posts or Facebook posts or brochures, infographics. Like, people like pretty things, like they like colorful things, and it's no cost. So that design software, we talked about that. And then we also talked about Constant Contact, which also gives you an ability to create content inside of the Constant Contact and the MailChimp. And then I also showed you the Brian Buffini. So last week was all about the content, right? Making sure as you're, and you have to always create new content, because you don't want people to get bored. They get bored, they stop paying attention, and then you lost them. Then they fall out. So you got to constantly create the content and come up with content. Well, today we're going to talk about, now that you've created the content, what are the best ways to send it out? What are the best ways to deliver the content? That's what we're going to talk about today. The best ways to deliver the content. So meaning, as we are sending this content, as we're keeping these arrows going, what are the ways that we're doing that as we're delivering it to the people that are in our database, the customers that are in our database, to keep them in that holding pattern until they're ready to have that consultation with us? How do we best deliver that content, right? So the first one that the first thing we want to do is, just like above, when we're talking about the creating the content, we said you got to think creative. Well, in delivering the content, you got to think efficient, right? Now, at this point, it's not about creativity. It's about what's the most efficient way for me to deliver it, to make it easy for the customer to see it, right? In 2018, the best avenue for getting people to ensure people are going to pay attention to what you send them is a text message, right? If you can get it to where it go to their smartphone in a text message, whether they want to see it or not, they're going to see it, right? That's the one thing about text messages, especially now the way that the smartphones are, and they'll pop that little notification window on you real quick. Your eyes going to see it. Now, so the text message is the best way. If you can figure out a way to do that, you submit things text message, that's the way to go. I know a lot of times when if I'm communicating with a client and I want to show them something, so I'll use the Brian Buffini, what we showed last week, as an example. I can make a JPEG of that flyer and save it on my phone, and then instead of emailing it to maybe a referral partner or a past client or a buyer lead, I could text them that, right? That's an efficient way of delivering the content to where they continue to pay attention every month. So now, in my 1 to 2 hour time block, or 1 to 3 hour time block, as I'm already creating my content, now I'm delivering it. Well, I have different mechanisms. I could send a text message to them, or I could take that Brian Buffini flyer, and I could save it into my Gmail email, and I could send it to them that way, right? I could use Constant Contact and send it out. So you definitely want to think efficient. So we have Constant Contact again on the list. So last week we had it on there because it allows you to create newsletters and flyers and things like that inside of it. Well, we also have it on this list as a delivery method, because you got to have some type of mass email vehicle, right? Now, Constant Contact is good because it allows you to categorize, right? You also have Wise Agent on here as well because Wise Agent allows inside of its CRM, that CRM, and most CRMs allow this as well. You can upload content into the CRM and they'll send it out as a mass email distribution as well. And the CRM categorizes. So the most important thing when it comes to the email delivery method is, number one, the capability of categories, meaning I want to send something specific to for sale by owners, or I want to send something specific to prospective buyers, or I want to send something specific to past clients and only past clients. So it has to have the ability to be categorized, to have categories. And it also has the ability to send multiple emails in one shot. So that capability of en masse, right? So now I got 30 for sale by owners. I want to send them this article about do-it-yourself things for the house. I upload it once, I push a button once, and it sends it just to those for sale by owners. See, again, we're thinking efficient. How can I efficiently get it? So now I've touched 30 people with the press of a button via email, right? And or the constant contact. I mean, with Wise Agent, it does the same thing. So now, the other thing that when talking about efficiency, it's very imperative that you have a call list, right? I tell people all the time, listen, I push Wise Agent because that's the one that I use. So I know how to teach it. Like if you have questions about it, certain things that it can or cannot do, I can help you with that. Like I can help you understand or put you in contact with the right people with Wise Agent so we can get it figured out. So I understand the software, right? But the reality of it is this: as long as the CRM you use creates you a checklist, I mean a call list every day, use it. Now, if it does not create you a call list, do not get that CRM because it is hurting your efficiency. If every day you have to create your list of people that you're going to touch, whether that's call, text, or social, hit on social media, if every day you have to spend time within your 1 to 3 hour time block making a list of the people you need to reach out to for that day, you are killing your efficiency in your delivery method. So you have to have a CRM that will automatically create that call list for you. So now what does that look like? I'm going to show you. Okay. Hold on. I'm going to do it this way. All right. So this is my call list. This is my Wise Agent. All right. So I'll give you an example. So there's a birthday today. There are 2 birthdays today, and these are actually the birthdays of the children of the client. Well, one of them's a past client and one of them's a referral partner, right? And it also shows you home purchase anniversaries, right? So these are today was the day that this person purchased this house. So these are 4 individuals that we can call today and wish them happy birthday, as well as say, hey, you know what? The reason I'm calling you, it popped up in my database that today was the actual day that you bought your house. Did you know that today was your home purchase anniversary, right? It's just giving you a reason to call them. Now, why are you calling them? So they can remember that you still do real estate. That's all. Like, it's simple. It's that simple. You're only doing it to remind them so they don't forget you. That's it, right? So that's the first part when it comes to efficiency. Now, look, I don't have to remember all the birthdays in my system. All I got to remember to do is when I find a birthday, put it in the system, right? And in the system every day is going to tell me who to call, give me a reason. So during that 1 to 2 hour time block, I log into my CRM, my Wise Agent, and I start off with calling the birthday people or calling the home anniversary people. So that's 4 contacts, 4 calls right there. Remember, we're talking activity. Lead generation, follow-up protocol. That's 4 calls, 4 emails, 4 social media, 4 text messages, 4 content, 4 touches right there. All right. We ain't even got to the call list. So then once we hit those 4, then we go to the call list. All right. So here's the call list. So now the thing about Wise Agent, you can filter them, right? So we'll just go to, we'll say real estate company manager, because hers is more up to date. All right. So these are her calls, and these are the dates that she's supposed to call. So she has, so this is April 25th. So she's a little behind. She ain't as behind as I am. All right. So she pulls up April 25th, 26th, and these are all the people that is on her list to call today for whatever reason. So now look, she doesn't have to populate the list. During her allocated time, all she does is go to call list, and it's giving her, in addition to the 4, it's giving her, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 additional people to follow up with during her time. So right there, you got 17 touches, 17 people automatically ready to go that you need to follow up with. All right. So she starts at the top. So she clicks on it. She get the number. So say she calls this lady. You know, the reason she's calling is because we're supposed to speak with her boyfriend about doing a lender appointment, right? So she calls him and says, hey, you know, did she get him on the phone? So say she doesn't answer. She doesn't answer. All right. Well, don't leave a message. Hang up. And what do? Add her to your call list for tomorrow, right? Remember, this thing is systematic. So all you got to do, she didn't answer, put a note, today called, no answer or whatever. Change the date here to the 26th, which will be today. And then call her tomorrow. Hang up, move to the next person, right? So then say you call this person, right? Just moving down the list. Reason we call her, she registered for a pre-home buyer session, didn't show up. So now we're calling. That means at some point she found value in the pre-home buyer session. She registered. She had issues with her credit and debt. So now we're calling and we're saying, hey, you know, you didn't come to the pre-home buyer session. We want to see if you're still interested. And notice how, look, we've had 3 no answers. So now this time she does answer and say, hey, look, you didn't come to the pre-home buyer session. We want to, you know, obviously you want to buy a house. We want to help you get there. You know, these are when they're next available. Can I schedule for Saturday or Sunday? So she may say, well, yeah, you know, I forgot, me and my husband got tied up that day. Let me talk to him, and then I'll call you back to let you know what day we can do it. And then what we'll say is say, okay, well, look, yeah, talk to your husband, and is it okay if I just give you a call back tomorrow? And then she may say, well, no, give me till Friday. And then I know I would have had the conversation with him by Friday. All right, boom. You put the note in there. Then what do? Go to your call, go right here, and you change this date to Friday, which is the 27th, right? And then now guess what? You go through all of them, right? You make your notes, you change your dates, and then tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel, when you click on call list, guess what's going to happen? It's going to give you a list of the people that you need to touch for that day. And remember, although it says call list, you can schedule social media posts. You can schedule, I'm going to send this person a text. I'm going to send this person an email, because different people have different preferred methods of contact. So you speak to them in their preferred method of contact. So it should, instead of saying call list, you should say it could be a contact list, or it could be a touch list. It could whatever, right? But the point is, for you to be efficient in your follow-up protocol during that time frame, you have to be able to use these type of resources and protocols. All right. So the last one, the last 2 we're going to talk about is Hootsuite, and this is with social media, right? Social media is an excellent resource. I don't know why people are fighting against social media, but listen, people are on social media, and it's a great way to stay. It's a great way to stay in the forefront of people's minds. It is. Okay. So we use, and there are different ones, different social media dashboard companies where they'll allow you to send out the same post to multiple social media networks. I use Hootsuite though, right? So this is how I use it. Well, say there is, I send a post out. All right. So this is to generate consistent follow-up. So on my LinkedIn, I have, I guess, about 1,000 people on my LinkedIn. My Facebook, I got a bunch of friends on my Facebook. My Instagram, I got, about 700-800 people on the Instagram, and Twitter, got about 300-400 people on Twitter. So, you have these different people that are following you, that you're connected to them. Well, the thing is that you have to you need to be consistently posting on these different platforms. My goal is to do at least 2 posts per week on all of my platforms, right? Well, Hootsuite is an excellent resource to utilize when wanting to send content amongst the different platforms. As you notice here, all of my accounts are connected. So I have my LinkedIn, I have my Twitter, I have my Facebook, I have the company Facebook page, I have the Houston for Sale by Owner page, which is one of our business pages. The Newlywed Group is one of our business pages that is unique to a particular group. We have our Texas Real Estate Kings group, right? You can put that on there. We have a Brooks and Davis LinkedIn. I have my personal Instagram. When they did have Google Plus, you can put your Google Plus on there. So look, so now that says there's 10 profiles that are connected. Now, I could send this right here as a post, and in sending that, it will go to all of these profiles that I connected just by one deal. Now, this is the thing that you need to be cognizant of. I don't do this to where I send the same thing to everybody all the time. The reason being is because your audience is different. My audience and your audience is different amongst the platforms. So you remember, it's not a one size fits all. My audience for Facebook is not the same audience for LinkedIn. My audience for Twitter is not the same audience for Instagram. They're different people. So that means the content needs to be different that I post on them. So now a lot of times what I'll do is that my audience for LinkedIn and Twitter is probably closely related. My audience for Facebook and Instagram is probably close. But my audience for Brooks and Davis business page is not the same audience for my Michael G. Davis Facebook page, right? So that dictates how I partner these things and how I send them out. But the reality of it is that I can send out posts to multiple platforms, however I want to set it up, with the touch of a button. Again, efficiency, right? Efficiency is what we're looking at when utilizing these type of avenues and platforms and delivering it. So now I brought out the Hootsuite piece because remember, the follow-up piece is to be memorable. It's important when you are meeting people, whether they're buyers, prospective buyers, whether they are prospective sellers, whether they are anybody. You want to try to get their social media stuff. You want to try to find them on LinkedIn. You want to find them. You want to build your audience on Facebook, and you want to do that. So now, as you have these people that are in your audience on your social media platforms, now you can efficiently send content. Remember that creative content that we created? You can now send that creative content effectively utilizing this kind of platform that I've shown you here on Hootsuite. So now in that 1 to 3 hour time block on your day, remember every day, a portion of it can be sending out social media stuff, content to your audience. That's another way of you touching people and you don't even know that they're paying attention. But they're paying. If you're giving them good creative content, you have people on there that are in your holding pattern, that are in those arrows, that you're constantly reminding that you do real estate. And all you're doing is just sending stuff on your social media because they are connected to you on social media. It's just like that. So that's what that piece looks like. All right. Now, the last thing is, and another thing is that some people's preferred method of contact is social media. So there's a way when you send stuff, when people are responding to it, that's another way of reminding people and reaching out to people, right? We're actually going to talk about that next week. We're going to talk about the last portion of follow-up. You create the content, you deliver the content, and then about responsiveness. So we're going to talk about that next week. But the last item of being efficient in sending out stuff is the thank you card. The thank you card is a wonderful method of follow-up, right? It's a wonderful method of follow-up. Okay. If you've gone to lunch with somebody, if somebody sent you a referral, you need to be sending them something, right? We personally, if somebody sends me a referral, I send them a thank you card, and inside that thank you card, I put a $1 scratch off. $1, right? Thanking them for their referral, right? Because I want them to understand that there's a benefit to them in sending me referrals, right? I want to make them like it. So I send them, I needed something. I'm not breaking the bank, right? Hey, look, I can cover $1. It's worth $1, right? $1 for the referral. I'll pay $1 all day long. A lot of y'all paying $1 for these Zillow leads and these other internet leads. Y'all paying $1 lead, $2 a lead, right? So, I mean, you're talking about a referral from a trusted third party, like the triangle of trust? Come on, baby, I pay $1 for that all day. That's worth that $1. So the thank you card, you got to be sending out thank you cards. Our goal is to send out 10 thank you cards a week. 10 thank you cards a week, whether that's from a phone conversation, whether that's from somebody like one of my past clients gave me and my wife tickets to her event. They had a fashion show event that me and my wife went to on Sunday. Guess what? Sending her a thank you card. Appreciation. And this is a client I've done multiple transactions with her. I've been in real estate for 11 years, and she's been my client maybe 9 of those 11 years, right? Long-lasting relationships. There's a lot of value in that. Believe me, a lot of value, right? So sending her a thank you card. I was on the phone right before the Create Your New Life today. I was on the phone with a prospective buyer, works at Chevron, no kids, making 700 credit score, good lead, right? On the phone with him. Why? From a referral from one of my referral partners, a colleague of mine. Matter of fact, my sorority sister. He my fraternity brother, right? So through my networking and organization and all of that stuff, I'm on the phone. Well, guess what? She getting a thank you card, and it's gonna have a scratch off in it. Why? Because I appreciate sending a referral. So the thank you card is a very efficient and effective method to continue to have referrals keep coming. Check this out. The best note I've ever gotten is somebody saying, "Hey man, I won $10 from your scratch off." That's beautiful, right? Beautiful. I mean, that means literally I gave them $10. It only cost me $1, but I gave them $10. Do you think they're going to continue to send me referrals? Do you think that they're going to forget that I do real estate? Come on. It's going to keep coming. The lady I told you about that just referred me, the guy I was on the phone with today, this ain't her first scratch off that she getting. My past client, she didn't got plenty scratch offs, right? I'm trying to send out as many scratch offs as I can because I know you get a big return on investment from them bad boys going out because it's motivating and incentivizing your people, your circle of influence, your audience, the people that are in your follow-up protocol to continue to send you leads. It's a lead generating piece, right? That flows in there. So being efficient in sending out the content. So that's what we were talking about today. So let's take one last look at the Realtor Success Funnel, and then we'll be done for today. We will be done for today. So remember, This is where we're taking this portion of the realtor success funnel and we're breaking it down to a practical, how do I walk it out perspective, all the way down to a daily look, right? A daily look. So this series is all about breaking this realtor success funnel down to what it looks like in the day in the life of an agent, right? And today we spent time talking about making these arrows go round and round, making contact, and continually having leads flow into this this holding pattern, what that looks like to keep the ball moving, to keep the arrows turning. What are the types of activities that I can do? What are the type of resources? What's the type of content? What are the things that I need to be doing specifically to execute this portion of the realtor funnel with this amount of activity? What do these activity items look like? So that's what today's talk and protocol is all about. And the next week, we're going to finish this portion of it. We're going to finish this area of it with the importance of being responsive. You got to be responsive. And we're going to finish that up on next week. With that being the case, does anybody have any questions that is currently on with us, Cordelia? If you have any questions or any comments or any coaching that you would like for me to do for you, you can unmute yourself or you can open up your chat and we can knock that out. If not, then looks like we're going to have a couple of more beautiful days going into the weekend. So I'll get my music going. Again, thank you guys for spending some time with us today on our Create Your New Life, seeing what we got going on. And if you ever have any questions, you want to talk to us, you want to sit down with us, feel free, get this number, call, and we'll get it going. All right.
Shall we begin?
Yeah. Another one in the books. Another one in the books. Create Your New Life real estate session training. Definitely continue to work on the things that we talked about today, your follow-up. Put yourself in a position to where you can capitalize on the summer selling season. Now is the time to be high activity items. That's what you need to be focused on. High activity items, the things that we've been talking about the last 2 weeks when it comes to the follow-up protocol as well as the lead generation. You got to be doing a lot of that right now to position you for when the summertime hit. You'll be filled with clients. You'll be filled with consultations and things like that. All right, so we got Cordelia. She had questions. So why don't you do this, Cordelia? Call me and let's talk about some of your challenges with lead generation. I can absolutely talk with you through those things as well. Is that? Yeah, I think that's Cordelia. Yeah, that's Cordelia that asked me that question. All right, so we'll do it that way. In the meantime, guys, you guys have a great one. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.